word. Hope this, applies to your heart. And the question we always need to ask ourselves, and I knew this, I didn't know this, even though I was in a religious industry, is when I heard someone read the Bible, I was like, oh, yeah. I didn't answer the right questions. The question I need to ask myself isn't, oh, he's got a nice cross, green shirt. Is it the KJV or the NIV? Who the hell cares? Who cares? The question is, how does that apply to my sorry ass in my life? That's what I need to be asked. When he reads that word, God speaking to us in his word, how does that apply to me in my life? That's the question. I didn't know that till 53, and it was Charles Stanley that told me that. I'm like, oh, I'm looking at this all wrong. Now I was lost as hell at the time, but at least somebody, Charles Stanley, got me straight on that online. Oh, I need to be listening going, how does that Bible verse apply to me in my life? So let's have a listen. Give it up, Shane. Let's go. But I want to talk about the 5 pillars today. Then I'm going to give a little bit of a message. I'm going to bring in a little bit of Tom Brady and a little bit about just different stuff, okay? We're not live yet, but I want to talk about the 5 pillars. We kind of operate around here. And you guys have only been to the first time or maybe 2 or 3 times. And I told you, Mr. Ken, give it up for Mr. Ken. He's still alive right here, man. Give it up right here. Yeah. Man, that dude, man, he's got a foot in the grave, but he's fighting it, baby. He's fighting it. And he told me right there, he said, oh, coach, man, he's shaking his finger at me like 6 months ago. You need to always remind him of the 5 pillars. I'm like, okay, man. Guy's 100 years old. You better pay attention when he's talking, right? Well, and I know I want to tell you guys a couple stories around this at the end of the message. But right now, we always operate in this group around about, we go to God direct because he loves us. He loves us. And I always say, I know a lot of guys are from Catholic backgrounds and stuff or different kind of backgrounds. And we always have this fear of God. Oh, my gosh, he's going to put me in hell. Oh, my God. Grandma Johnson told me you don't want to burn. No. We go to God direct as you read through the Psalms because he loves us so much. That's why we go. Number 2 is we always say we give out the Bibles because we know that's where God's going to operate. So we want to stay in the Word. We always encourage guys to get in the Word. You're better off going in the Word, listening to the Word, than coming here or anything else. Anything else. Got to be in the Word, fellas. Forgive. That's always hard. I was talking to a buddy about that a couple of days ago about, man, for me, I always tell you, I was rough. Still is. It's still a hot button for me. I got to really work on that. It's something God's working with me on. Next one, honor my wife in all things. Y'all married here, and especially you cats, that it's hard for you guys here that are going through divorces because we're telling you to sort your marriage out. And I know the rest of it could be even your church saying, "Oh, divorce her. She's bad. She's bipolar. You need to get rid of her." No, man. You follow the word. You work it out with her. Sort it out. That's what we do in here. And I know that's not a popular message. I get that. And then the last one is cast all your burdens on the Lord. Cast them all on the Lord, all right? Because he loves you and he wants to hear from you. And I probably have to cast them all, 4 or 5 times a day. I'm drawing my mama to the Lord. I'm casting them all the time, all right? Because he says, pray without ceasing. Keep coming to him all the time. Well, on the last one, before I start the message, we do a little silent prayer. It's actually probably my favorite time. I can just be with 45 seconds or 1 minute. And we're just going to, whatever your burdens are to here, fellas. And I know we all got them. We all have burdens. No doubt. We're men. We're supposed to have burdens. But he says, cast them on him. So let's just go to the Lord, either thanking him or casting them on the Lord. We'll go about 45 seconds silent prayer. And then I'll try to do the best I can on the message. All right, here we go. Hey, I don't know this message today. It might be a little longer. I'm all over the map. Again, I've had 5,000 cups of coffee, and I'm going to try to do the best I can. But as I do the message, it ain't going to be perfect or anything. Just if there might be 1 or 2 things that apply to you in your life, hey, that's good, man. That's good. And if the worst happens, you're just hanging out with your buddies and having some donuts today. That's cool too, man. It's all good. I want to tie in the story. I'm going to go a little bit about the lifesavers, a little bit of Tom Brady if I get to that. In the end, I'm going to kind of challenge you and give you some meat to work on, all right, in an encouraging way. And it's applying to me as well. I ain't talking it down to you guys. Like I always say, I got a lot of my own mentors in the group, man. And most of the time I'm stealing stuff from you guys. I'm putting it together and blowing it back out on a Friday. All right. First thing is 1912. You guys know the history of lifesavers? Yeah, I've heard that story a million times. You guys might have known the story. 1912, and supposedly children are eating these little things, and they're getting caught in their throat, and kids are suffocating. You guys ever heard that story? You guys, no one's heard that story? So a guy drills a hole in the candy, and man, in case the kid's sucking on the candy, he can't choke. The air's still going, right? All that stuff. No one's ever heard that story. Y'all too old. You're still thinking about when you built the pyramids in this damn room. I get it, man. Well, anyways, so I go listen to the story, man, and I find out that whole story about saving the children, and it's all made up. None of it's true. The guy in 1912, he was a chocolate hair guy out of Cleveland, Ohio, man. At least something good came out of Cleveland. Oh, man, don't get on my case for that, all right? And, well, in the summertime, the chocolate's all melted. Nobody would buy his chocolate, so I got to do a hard candy, man. So he does the hard candy, and the big seller in the summertime. And it looked like a lifesaver. You throw something out to someone to grab onto so they don't drown. So it looked like a life. It's actually called a lifesaver. It had nothing to do with saving kids as far as the oxygen and all that. And I was thinking to myself, that's a good story to tell the fellas. I don't know why. It's kind of dumb, but I just went with it. Anyways, it ties into last night. You guys know last night was a full moon? I was at Fox. It looked like one to me, but it was funny because I was at the Fox and Lock last night, doing my thing. My wife had a cake because it was Michael's birthday and the whole bit. I'm just doing my thing, whatever, man. Hey, everybody's talking about, look at the full moon. I'm like, what the heck is about full moon? Why do people get all excited? So I go home thinking, I'm going to tell these guys about the full moon, man. Anyways, I go to this guy. You might have heard of this guy, Dr. Todd Grande, 8 minutes. The effects of the full moon, man. Like, whoa, what happens? We got more crimes when there's a full moon, or is there something's going on? There's more storms, or all this conspiracy stuff. I mean, it's unbelievable. It's 8 minutes, man. This guy, I'm telling you, and then the impact of the tide on the moon and all that. Then he goes and he starts talking about how gravitational pull and orbit. You scientists are going, yeah, man, he's my guy, man. I'm telling you, this guy, unbelievable. The most boring 8 minutes of my entire life last night, man. This guy, and then I look at the thing, the guy's got 355 views on that boring thing. I go, man, I don't believe it, man. I'm in the wrong game. It pays to be boring. And then he starts talking about the Newton and all this stuff. And then he goes into well, actually, the full moon, nothing strange happens in the world. It's just that people remember it because it's a full moon. So if something happens to you that day that's unique and it's a full moon, you just kind of remember it a little bit more. I was like, whoa. How's that tying into the message? I don't know. We'll try to kick it in here. Daniel 6. I talked about a little bit about Daniel last time. And like I always say, you guys that are more church dudes or Sunday school teachers, you know the story. And who was the king at the time? Not Nebuchadnezzar. After that, Belshazzar. And then Belshazzar, you guys know that story. Belshazzar, he's having a party. He's got his girls there. And they're all partying it up. The same old story. Shucking and jiving, pulling out the booze. All his friends are coming over. Just another social mixer. You guys from Silicon Valley, you know the game. It's another, I got to have a banquet so everybody knows I'm important. It's another pursuit of pleasure. It's just rocking and rolling. And then what happens to Belshazzar? He sees some handwriting over the candlestick and God's hand or whatever, right? And then what happens to him? He's shaking now. He knows. He internally knows. I'm shucking and jiving too much. Just like we know. We know in this group, we keep it real in here. Our pursuit of pleasure is way out of balance. Way out of balance in Williamson County and Franklin. And we got way too much time on our hands. We look at our ratio and we're acting like King Belshazzar, me included. I could go out every night and we got the same rhythm all the time. Man, it becomes Titans game this week, an invite, a party, a dance, a recital, happy hour, box and lock. Constant pursuit of pleasure. And then all of a sudden, God's hand, and he gets nervous. He said his knees were shaking in the Bible, and then he's freaking out. And they bring Daniel in, and Daniel basically tells him, "Hey man, you're shucking and jiving. God's not happy with it. He's taking you out." He dies, and now Daniel becomes second in charge. You guys know the story about Daniel, which I really want to get into. And now Daniel's second in charge. The King Darius is number one. Daniel's number two because he translated the dreams. And there's a bunch of guys around that, little presidents and all that. They're right behind Daniel. They don't like Daniel because they're jealous of Daniel's position. That's what I'm reading in the Word. And so they kind of do him up. Next thing you know, they make a decree. Nobody can pray to God. Daniel can't pray to his God. You guys got to read that in Daniel 6. I'm not going to do the work for you. And then here, what happens is, the King Darius finds, I got to put Daniel in the lion's den because he disobeyed the decree I signed. And those other guys, they're kind of happy. They're like, oh, this is good. Daniel's going to be eaten by the lions, and then we'll move up in the dog chain. It'll be the king and then us, and maybe we'll take the king out after that. And anyways, Daniel lives. Boom. Okay. And as you read Daniel 6, there's so much to unpack. And I want to kind of relate it to us a little bit today. And then I'm gonna give you a little bit of encouragement. But I'm gonna break away for just a second. I know you got I'm in football country, I got this. And I remember listening to this. I haven't listened in a long time, but I remember back in the day, before I knew the Lord, I was pretty obsessed with different sports things and how guys thought and everything. I'm obsessed, over the top obsessed. It was my God. I mean, all the time, man, all the time. It's gross. I was gross as hell. But anyways, I heard Tom Brady talking. He's from my town. I don't remember him. And, most of the time you get a guy like that, he's a high school star. You hear about this guy. But I never heard of him before until he's at Michigan. I'm like, oh, what the heck? This guy's at Michigan. And then, it kind of rolls, and you guys know the rest of the story. But I heard Tom Brady say about when he was in high school at Sarah High School. And Sarah High School, if you guys from the Bay Area, known for baseball, Barry Bond, baseball powerhouse, wasn't known for football, right? So anyways, Brady, he didn't even get to play his first year as freshman ball, and then all of a sudden his dad saw some promise in him, and there was a coach at San Mateo Junior College named Coach Martinez. I'm like, I know Coach Martinez. He was a basketball guy. I knew him, big basketball guy. But Tom was talking about how Coach Martinez taught him how to throw a ball well. Well, worked out pretty well for Tom Brady, right? Yeah, it worked out pretty well. But I guess Coach Martinez, but his father knew my son needed some real coaching on specific skill set, got him up there, and the rest is history. How does Tom Brady do in the gospel and all this stuff? I don't know, but maybe saying Tom Brady's name, I'll get more hits and more guys can hear about the Lord. Who knows? But thanks, Tom Brady. I appreciate it, all right? Go back to the story about Daniel. So, here's Daniel, and he lives, and the king, hey, Daniel, your God will save you. The next day the king comes, Daniel's alive, Daniel's saved. But I want to talk about the dudes that were, hey, we got to take Daniel out. Because that really resonated with me. Not me being Daniel, me being one of those guys. Those guys got distracted. You got to think that those guys that did him up, they're like third of the king. They got enough, man. They're probably living in beautiful homes. They got it. It's like living in Westhaven, fellas. They got everything. And they're worried about another dude, Daniel. We don't need to be worried about other dudes. And what was the result of that? Oh, we want to go and I got to get in with the king. So they go and badmouth Daniel. Hey, king, set him up, king. And what was the result of those guys getting distracted? Not only were they thrown in the lion's den, but their families were destroyed. If you keep reading down, their families, their wife and children were destroyed by the lions as well. And I was thinking, because we're talking about that the last 3 or 4 weeks, me included, thinking, wow, I get distracted instead of staying focused on what I need to be doing. And I love you guys in the Lord and other people in the community, but I got to worry about my own walk with God and my family's walk with the Lord, because I don't want them to get destroyed. And I know in Williamson County that we got a lot of distractions, because you all got money and you got time and you got golf carts, and we are completely self-absorbed in entertainment and self. Listen to a service today. We don't even get how much we are. It's constant recreation, constant pleasure, pursuit of pleasure, cafe, party. We call it the circuit. You're on the circuit. But our families are starving to death. But let me kick it into the message again. And let me see if I can bring it home and give you some encouragement here, all right? Okay. I want to kind of break it down because a little bit like basketball guy. Well, that was a good thing, that. But, the offseason, I got to have some tools like Tom Brady to get my game better. It's one thing a guy, let's go to practice when the season started. But obviously his father knew my son's got to work on a certain skills to develop before the next season comes in his high school football season, right? And I was thinking too many times I do it as well. I got to get something to hold on to. So I'm going to give you a challenge and encouragement. And you guys are going to have to buy in a little bit. And it's going to be harder for you guys that are hyper-churched or really hypersensitive, right? Hypersensitive. And if you find yourself being hypersensitive, you got to really maybe check yourself. Check yourself, okay? I'm going to talk about the 5 pillars, about maybe have a week challenge of the week. And the reason I'm going to go into this because it's more than a few guys. It's been a lot of dudes that have come to me, and I didn't make the pillars up. I just kind of put it together and said, why don't you go on trust and try this for a week and see if your life doesn't completely change? Because I know no matter what I say, your Zig Ziglar book or your minister, your bishop, or your tarot card reader or whatever, we don't make any inroads. It's a little dent and it goes away. This will make some change. Not me, these. First one is, we're going to go through the pillars. Psalm 107, going to Lord direct. Go to the Lord direct. Bypass everybody else for 1 week. Everybody. Do not get distracted. And that means, I don't want your text. I don't want your vinegar awards. Anybody in the church that gets you in an emotional state, don't go that weekend. Distraction. For men need to stay soberly minded. Anything that's a distraction, you go to the Lord direct. Starting today. No one else. And you put it all on him, and because he loves you. If you don't know him yet, you ask to know him. Pour it out to him. Okay? You can try that for 1 week. Number 2, Romans 10. You stay in the word, fellas. Everything else, put aside for a week. And a lot of us here are addicted to the newspaper. We're addicted to all that other stuff. I get it. Supplemental books. The book. I wrote a leadership book. Don't buy that crap. I didn't even know the Lord at the time. It was all look how important coach is. Don't buy that crap. Complete waste of $28. Stay in the word for 1 week. Everything else, do not. All your bathroom reads, your wife do what she wants, your girlfriend, whatever. You stay in the word. Because he tells us he's going to save you in the word. And the word is what's going to make the difference. It's not going to be a dent. It's going to change your pattern. And we need pattern interrupt. Because in Williamson County, our pattern is pleasure. Pleasure and trying to be the man. Okay. Next one. Oh, man. You got to go to the Lord hard on this one. Forgiveness. We have to forgive everyone. Everyone. Go to the Lord with that. Lay it all down. Lay it all down, fellas. Just keep going to him and going to him, that he will help you forgive everybody. Okay? And the result of that, again, will be he'll start to open your eyes so you won't walk around like a dumbass anymore. Trust me, I was a dumbass. King of dumbasses right here. Okay? Too much anger. Had it up. Okay. Next one, we're going to honor our wives in all things. And I know for some of you cats, that's hard. Because you're going through the divorce and we're telling you to stop. Stop it. Stop talking about your wife. If you have a first marriage, apologize. Get yourself some help if you need it. And work it out with her. Nobody in here is going to play your fantasy game about, oh yeah, she's bipolar. No. Your church might enable your bad behavior, but we won't in here because we're men. And in here we keep it real. Keep it real in here. All right. Next one, that's 1 Peter 3. Next one, cast all your burdens on the Lord. Daniel 6, Philippians 2. Well, I'm going to end with this. You know, you look at Daniel, and what did he do? He found out when he goes and prays that they're going to throw him in the lion's den. He just found out. They just set up a rule and a law. If I pray to God, I'm going to get thrown and get eaten by the lions. And what does he do? He goes and prays, and he gives thanks. The Bible's very clear on this, and the more I'm in it, I was talking to another dude in here a couple of days ago about this. Dude, the Bible's clear about we need to stop griping and complaining and be like Daniel and thank God for everything. He's going to be thrown in the lions, and he's thanking God. You'd think he'd be go whining and crying like a little effeminate dude to his mama, his friends in the neighborhood, his wife. No, he goes right to God and gives thanks. That's hard. I get it. And I'm not saying I'm talking down to anybody here. Try that for a week. Cast all your burdens on God. Don't tell anybody else your problems but God. If anybody starts asking you about your problems, don't tell them. You're getting baited. If you're in a professional situation, one-on-one, and you're paying someone $2.50 an hour, that's different. Or you're in a business meeting, like I talked to Steve a few times about business, different. That's not drama, mama. I don't talk about my children. I don't go to a prayer meeting and talk about my problems. I don't let anybody pray for me and say, hey, I got a wayward child that slanders your child. We're not to complain, and we're to bring our burdens to God, not to that dude. Do that for a week and see if your whole life doesn't completely change. It will completely change. I'm going to end with this because a guy came to me, and I ain't virtue signaling. A guy said to me, hey, Steve-O, I'm not buying into all this, but heck, man, I'm 52. I just try to go on faith. He saw me in here. Hey, man, my whole life changed. I can't believe this. I can't even believe it. He goes, I was as effeminate as you. I said, no, I was that guy, man. I was telling everybody my problems, complaining about marriage, stupid stuff, griping all the time, wasn't in the Word. I was a mess. Lost, not at peace. And I had to run with that on faith. I had to get in the Word and all that stuff. I'm telling you, fellas, you might not like it, but I'm telling you what happened to me and what happened to this dude. He couldn't believe it. He said, seriously, quote, my balls came back. I couldn't believe it. And my worth in the Lord came back. I started acting like a grown-up man. My wife had no idea who she had married anymore. I turned into her girlfriend, and now I became her husband. She was in shock. It was an answer to her prayer because for 26 years she was looking at him, or my wife looking at me, like I was an effeminate girl. Oh, we don't like that because we're obsessed with stupid stuff. And I know, because that was me. Brother Shedrin today is like, look, man, I'm going to take on these pillars. I'm going to take these things on. I'm going to go on faith. The Bible tells us, Psalm 107, Romans 10, Matthew 6, I'm going to get in the Word. That's the only way it's going to make change. That's the only pattern interrupt we're going to have. And we're going to do it for two reasons. Not that we become better dudes. Because, hey, man, life's still going to be hard. But the Bible tells us we do this because we want to know God. And we know over 50, 60, 70, we're at unrest when we're hanging out in pleasure all the time. We are at unrest. The pursuit of pleasure is a constant desire that never goes away. It never goes away. We got to constantly, like Shane read, go to banquets all the time. Parties all the time. And the reason we go is because we want to be entertained, and we want someone to say our name. And then the next reason we go do these pillars? The main reason is we want to lead our family to God. We want to lead our family to God. And if you really think about us men in here, we're wound like that. We'll take it, we'll go down with the ship as long as our wife and babies are saved. We know it. You take my wife and babies, I'm going down the ship. You save them. That's why we have to get in the Word. Because we love our wife, children, or nieces and nephews. We love them. And we have to take on that responsibility. So I'm going to do the 5 pillars as uncomfortable as they are. I'm going to end on this. I know this is long today. Okay. Guy says to me in the group, man, he changed my life. Oh, he made me a little course correction the other day. He didn't know about you guys. He didn't know about you guys. Or the guys here, you know. I said, oh, we got maybe 40 to 100 dudes. Doesn't matter who's in town. I said, these are the best guys in this side of heaven. Meaning you guys. These are the best dudes. And he goes, well, what do you do? You guys a bunch of men's group? And he thought it was a typical feminine men's group. Get together, tell everybody your problems, hold hands, raise your hands, sing songs. No, we don't do feminine stuff like that in here. It's freaking men's encouragement. Well, do you guys open up? You open up, right? No! We don't do that here either. But how does that sound? He goes, it sounds refreshing. It sounds refreshing, he said. Where are they? Where are they? So they're right here in Westhaven. They're right here in Westhaven. That's the challenge for the day. Y'all can take it on like in basketball. You can work on that in your off season like Tom Brady and work on your skill set. You can go emotional, send me a text. I challenge your position in life. Or you can go effeminate on me and tell me how I hurt your feelings, which I don't give a shit. And the reason I don't give a shit, I'm more worried about your soul and the salvation of your children than you being my friend. I'm more worried about your children and your grandbabies and your nieces and your nephews and your wife, them getting a man who's going to help them get to the kingdom of God, than you being my buddy and taking me out for an Italian dinner. I love you way too much through Christ, and I have to answer to Him. I hope and I pray that you guys take on the challenge. And I know some of you here, you've already taken it on and you nailed it already. You have nailed it and you have modeled it for me and other dudes in this room. But the guy that's not in here, that's not leading his family to the kingdom, I hope you don't sleep another damn night. I hope this penetrates your life so hard that you're shucking and jiving, sucking in entertainment all day, looking for whatever it is, and you're not leading your family to the kingdom of God. I hope you shake tonight. I hope God convicts you hard like He had to convict me hard. And He does it because He loves us. And He loves your family. You guys have a lovely time of donuts. We'll see you next Friday. Remember, God loves you very, very much. I know it's a little bit long, but I think it's something we all need to take hold of. God bless you guys. God bless you.